Hi, I'm Mark Cottrell. I own a management consulting company, Mac Consulting. I'm particularly interested in health, and I've been following Steve's Biohacking on his podcast, and I find it incredibly valuable. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I had a bit of an overuse injury on my knees, and the meniscus had been slightly damaged. And what Steve did for me is he did prolotherapy and subsequent to that PRP. So what was really awesome for me was that I was going to have to go and get surgery to snip the meniscus, and friends of mine have had it. Some of it hasn't been very successful, and having been to Steve and had a non-invasive procedure, it's been totally successful. So that's my starting journey with Steve. I just remember the first one thinking, wow, this is really in depth, and what I really enjoyed about it was that the dialogue that Steve had with the people that he was, or the person that he's interviewing with. Steve was able to ask in-depth questions, and sometimes Steve's pretty open about his own opinions, and sometimes the person who was being interviewed would disagree with Steve, and the podcast wasn't edited, and I just thought this is quite refreshing, and I enjoyed the format. I'd say that the importance of sleep and finding ways to improve sleep has been really helpful to me, because there have been periods in my life where I've battled with sleep, so that had a big impact. But to be quite frank, there have been many podcasts which have been really helpful, just thinking about my own health. You don't think about it until you don't have good health, and then you realize just how absolutely critical it is. So yeah, I'd say it's hugely important. You need the energy to operate, to engage with your colleagues, to engage with clients, and if you're not healthy and well, you can't do that well. I'll start with probably the most important thing has been diet, what I eat. And I think that the theme that I get from many of the podcasts that I've listened to about the importance of eating whole foods and not going for highly processed foods, and cooking foods yourself rather than buying pre-prepared foods. And that's really important for your gut biome, for the way that your body engages with your gut. So that's had a big influence on me. I think I've been very fortunate in that our family and my wife's in particular places a lot of emphasis on buying in and producing whole foods, and we eat very healthily. But listening to the podcasts where people speak about just how essential it is, what the impact is on chronic disease of eating foods that are highly processed, and how 100 years ago people started suffering from these chronic illnesses in their 70s and 80s, or dying in their 70s and 80s, and if there was diabetes or any other chronic, it was in that later stage of your life. Whereas now it's happening at a much, much younger age, and it seems like many of the people that Steve has spoken to about diet, that's a central focus, what you eat. I think the whole exercise and the importance of exercise for mental and physical well-being has been something that's influenced me. We do have and have recently acquired about a year ago, an infrared sauna, so that's something we do, and it's quite a cool thing to do with my kids and my wife, so we enjoy doing that. For us, it's become a bit of a ritual, so we'll go and have a sauna, swim afterwards, often before dinner, and I find that just from a sleep point of view and being relaxed, it's really, really great. Understanding the impact of electromagnetic waves, of different the color spectrum, that has really been helpful, hearing just how negatively that can impact on health and specifically on sleep. And so certainly what I've tried to do is to, after a certain time in the day, to cut back on using screens which emit blue light. I haven't gone as far as Steve and started wearing glasses to cut that out, but that's been one of a few things. So trying to eat a little bit earlier, trying to make sure that I don't watch television or use a computer screen after a particular period of time. I've also taken social media off my phone so I don't get distracted by that. So I think there are quite a few things which have come up in different podcasts which have helped me from a sleep point of view. Trying to measure the quality of my sleep. I just use a Garmin watch and it tells me how much deep sleep and how much REM sleep I've got, and at the end of the day it'll give me a tick if I've had enough of each of those. So that's been pretty helpful. I mean, we do triathlons each year. I do gym, I cycle. So I kind of, from a physical point of view, I'm pretty much where I'd like to be. From a diet point of view, I think I'm like most people. There'll be food that I'd like to eat, and if I had a glass of wine, I'm probably more likely to eat it. So I've got to manage my diet more carefully, and that's a biohacking target. I want to learn more about improving sleep and mental alertness. So I don't have any specific goals right now, but probably the one area I'd like to improve on is the quality of what I eat on an ongoing basis. Yeah, I think the evidence is overwhelming. If you look at society today, if you look at how many people have got chronic diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, mental illness, dementia, if you look at all of those things, there's a link to what you eat, how well you sleep, and those are scientifically proven. So for me, what we've got to do is we've got to take responsibility for our health. We can't just expect the medical system to fix everything for us. So I think it's an easy thing to persuade someone if they're interested. I think the biohacking journey is one where, if you go and listen to Steve's podcast straight away, it's quite foreign because it's not what you're exposed to all the time. But if you give it a bit of a chance and you listen to a whole podcast, I think you'll start gaining from it, learning from it, and so I think it's a journey. It's not going to happen straight away.